The president and the chancellor at the University of Missouri have both stepped down amid allegations that there is racial harassment on the campus, but these administrators did absolutely nothing about it. Now, this all started when a student by the name of Jonathan Butler took part in a hunger strike. It was an 8-day hunger strike, and it didn't seem like anything was going to change until the school's football team said that they were going to strike. As soon as they said that, all of a sudden, the president, Tim Wolfe, stepped down from his position. Now, the frustration and anger that I see is clear, real, and I don't doubt it for a second. Please, please use this resignation to heal, not to hate, and let's move on together for a brighter tomorrow. Tim Wolfe continues to say, this is not, I repeat, not how change should come about. I disagree. I take full responsibility for the inaction, and I take full responsibility for the frustration that has occurred.
So there's a lot more to this story, but we're going to come back to Tim Wolfe and whether he should have stepped down and whether he did the right thing or not in a minute. And I think that story is mixed. Mm-hmm. Okay, but so tell us more about how this all went down.
So this all started when a number of different instances of racism occurred on the campus. Okay, so one of the most notable instances had to do with a swastika sign that was placed on a piece of feces. Last month, a swastika scribbled in human feces was found in the restroom of Gateway Hall, a dorm offering gender-neutral suites and bathrooms that is supposed to be a gateway for future of inclusive living. Okay, Jonathan Butler said the following. He's the one who started this whole protest. I already feel like campus is an unlivable space, so it's worth sacrificing something of this grave amount because I'm already not wanted here. I'm already not treated like a human. A bunch of other students spoke out about this as well, but let me give you some more instances of the racism that allegedly occurred on campus. Peyton Head says, last night I was walking through campus. Some guy riding on the back of a pickup truck decided it would be okay to continuously scream the N-word at me. I really just want to know why my simple existence is such a threat to society. Now, look, I said N-word, but they said the word to him, okay, repeatedly.
And he capitalized.
Yes. Also, for those of you who wonder why I'm always talking about the importance of inclusion and respect, it's because I've experienced moments like this multiple times at this university, making me not feel included here. Also on October 5th, an inebriated white male student allegedly mounted the stage of a Legion of Black Collegians homecoming royalty court rehearsal and began spouting the N-word. The student was moved from the campus. There were other cases as well. Students claiming that they're being called the N-word as they walk through the campuses. Apparently nothing's being done about this. So this is why the hunger strike started. This is why the football team decided to protest.
All right, now let me give you all the nuance, okay? So in some instances, you go, wait a minute, okay, now I see the other side. So at one point, a black student activist peacefully surrounded a homecoming parade and blocked it. Okay, because they're trying to make a point.
Right.
Now, they said one of the instances of racial harassment was when people harassed them for blocking the homecoming parade. I wouldn't count that one. Okay.
Well, when they were blocking the homecoming parade, they were doing it specifically to get some sort of reaction to from Tim Wolfe because he wasn't doing anything about all these cases of harassment, right? Yeah. And so he didn't handle it well. They allege that his car hit one of the protesters. Okay, I don't know whether or not that really happened, but that's what they're alleging. But here's the thing. If there are clear cases of students being harassed because of their race, you are the president. It is your responsibility to do more than just raise money for the university. You're supposed to represent the students that are paying to go to your school.
So let me finish this side, and then I'll get to the other side as well, okay? So if you're we're blocking the homecoming parade in order to get a reaction, you can't complain about the reaction. Unless you say that in the reaction, people shouted the N-word or racial, but that's not, as far as I can tell, that's not the charge here, okay? Then they surrounded Tom Wolfe's car. He reacted poorly to that. On the other hand, if your car was surrounded, I'm not sure how you would react either, right? Now, again, there was a peaceful protest, so there was no sign of violence or intimidation, but your car is being surrounded. I can see how he would feel uncomfortable about that. But even Tom Wolfe, the guy who stepped down, says he handled it poorly, and he said, quote, had I gotten out of the car to acknowledge the students and talk with them, perhaps we wouldn't be where we are today. And so that brings you to the other side. Tim Wolfe, continued to not react. He kept saying, we're going to study this. We're looking into it. But go and have a conversation with the guys, right? And so find out what's going on. Now, look, it might be that some of the kids, the people that yelled the N-word were students. Well, then you got to have much swifter action and get them off campus, do whatever you're going to do, right? It might have been that some of them were not students. But then even so, you have to have a conversation about what can we do about that. And what I would want to do is hear out the black students and say, okay, what are your proposals? Doesn't mean I'm going to accept all your proposals, but we're going to talk them through and have this conversation, right? And so at the end of the day, I don't want anybody to get me wrong. I love what they did. And because during the hunger strike, got the student athletes involved. If the student athletes hadn't gotten involved, he'd still be on the hunger strike.
Of course.
Okay. But he had to take that first action, and they had to take actions like interrupting the homecoming parade in order to catch people's attention. Because I want you to hear out what the student body president was saying there, Peyton Head, right? He's like, I'm here working hard at this university. I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm still the N-word. That's what I still get yelled at in the middle of the day. Now, you've never experienced that. I had a friend who, we're going to college, he's Indian, and a bunch of frat boys at the college frat, at the football frat, yelling at him drunk, or they're drunk, right? Like, hey, Mexican, go back home. Okay?
Wow.
So, I mean, that's ignorant on a couple of different fronts, right? But if you're white and you never experienced that, honky doesn't count, okay? Cracker doesn't count. And I'm saying that because they don't have any real power over you. You don't know how alone you feel. It's only 7% of the student body is black at University of Missouri, right? So it's not like they feel empowered to begin with, right? They're working hard to get to the position. No matter what they do, they still get called the N-word, right? So you have to be sensitive to that, not because you need to be touchy-feely, but because he's saying, hey, just treat me like a human being. Notice my existence and not just in these derogatory ways. So is it all right to do a hunger strike for that? Hell yes. Now, a lot of people will get really mad at the football team. Oh, don't get political. No, but that's not unprecedented. People have been student groups and sports groups have gotten political in the past. For example, the UCLA basketball team, just saw a documentary about this. Legendary, won 10 titles in a short period of time, super clean cut, everybody looks up to them. Time in the 1960s and early 70s, there's a lot of unrest, and they're like, well, the UCLA kids. No. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, it originally was Lou Alcindor. Part of him coming out and recognizing the things that are going wrong in the country, whether it was Vietnam or racial injustice, was him saying, you know me as this legendary basketball player, but I'm here to tell you, here are the real problems that black people face. That we all face as students, as young people going to Vietnam or possibly being called up for Vietnam. That even more so from Bill Walton, who was white, did the same thing. Man, they were so mad at him. You're an upstanding young white kid with all the great future ahead of you. What are you mad about? He's like, but all these guys are going to be sent to Vietnam. Maybe I'm going to be sent to Vietnam. And just because I don't feel it doesn't mean that there isn't great racial injustice, right? So you should give Bill Walton a tremendous amount of credit for that. And you should give these athletes at the University of Missouri a tremendous amount of credit for bringing this issue up. It doesn't mean that they're right about every single charge or every single action that they took to get to this point. But it does mean you should hear them out. And if you don't, maybe you shouldn't be president of the school.